You're listening to the Telltale Channel. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check out my Patreon. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. This is Nick Fuentes. I've talked about him a few times before, but I want to talk about him again. He just went on Tucker Carlson's show, and it has caused massive infighting on the right. Like, people are melting down over the fact that Nick Fuentes is gaining some degree of influence, and it's been interesting to watch. Let me just kind of introduce you to him if you're unfamiliar.
All of the realest in history were virulent anti-Semites and racists.
This is a brand new clip, by the way.
Can a just pop off real quick? George Washington, racist. Abraham Lincoln, racist.
And these are good things about these people in his mind.
Christopher Columbus, racist. Jesus split the veil. His parting gift is that he tore the veil covering the Holy of Holies and shook the earth.
You know what's fascinating about that one? Nazis actually claimed that Jesus was the first anti-Semite and the first Aryan. They claimed that he was like blonde hair, blue-eyed, not Middle Eastern, but actually Aryan, born of a Roman father and all kinds of insane stuff. And it sounds like Nick Fuentes is kind of attaching to that a bit. They claimed that this is the theological basis for their belief system. They claimed Mary got pregnant by a Roman soldier named Julius Abdes Pantera or something like that. Pantera was the supposed soldier's last name that they supposedly found a tomb of and all this other nonsense. None of it's real, obviously. But being born of a Roman father would mean that he was Aryan, because Romans are, they're close to Aryan, like this close to Aryan in their minds. They used all kinds of mental gymnastics to get there. I think it's so disturbing that this dude has gone full Nazi, right? I mean, he says he likes Hitler. He debated Alex Jones on whether Hitler was a good guy or based. I think, was Hitler based was the question.
So the more that I read that, I'm just translating it in my head as real. When people say white nationalist, racist, anti-Semite Nick Fuentes, I'm just reading badass motherfucker. I'm just reading real ass Nick.
Colossal scumbag, obviously. And he kind of like draws out for us the concern in this next clip.
You can call me a Nazi. You better be careful, because if I'm a Nazi, then there's millions of young people that are following a fucking Nazi.
No fucking really? So you're telling me I shouldn't call you a Nazi because that would be bad if you were a Nazi? Yes, I realize that. Yeah, obviously, yes. That's concerning. Do you think that you're only a Nazi if people call you one? Is that like the premise here?
So you better be careful about those words. You're saying I'm a Nazi, I'm a monster. There's a million monsters then. There's a million Nazis out there then. Because they love my show and they agree with me way more than they agree with you. And they're pissed off.
Yep, I know. That's disturbing. I'm not sure where you should be careful about calling me a Nazi bit came in. Like, where did that come into the equation?
And they'll follow me into battle. So you better be real careful. You're barking up the wrong tree with that.
Anyway, he's a colossal scumbag. And fascinatingly, Greg Locke, of all people, is appalled by the far right at this point. He's still a far right nutcase in his own right, but there's definitely a schism. This is from before. He's about to address this old supposed prophecy that he laid down. I think that he said this like a month ago or something.
The conservative movement will no longer look the same, because the deciding factor of where you stand with Israel is going to divide it. Listen, not right down the middle. It'll probably be about a 60-40.
So he said this like a month ago, I think. And he's going to claim that this is a prophecy that is now coming true, that God gave him this information from on high. And this proves that he communicates with God. Bro, this has been going on for like years at this point. There's been a split between the Nazis and the Zionists in the far right for like ever at this point. And it's just now in the past 6 months getting pretty intense. Well, the past year, it's been getting really intense since Trump won.
60% of conservatives are going to take a stand against the Jewish people.
I don't think so. Right now, I think it's like 32%. stand against Israel in the conservative movement. And as we know, there are basically two wings of the Republican Party. There's the Zionist wing and the Nazi wing. Nobody supports Palestine in the Republican Party. You either support Israel or you fucking hate Jews. Those are pretty much the only two options in the Republican Party. Because they don't give a shit about people's well-being. They don't care about human rights or suffering, or they don't care. They don't care. They care about getting what they want. And the Zionists want Jesus to return, and they need Jews to control that region before he can. And the Nazis fucking hate Jews. So they just, they want them to suffer at any cost. That's what it's about.
And about 40 are going to have enough wrought iron backbone and half a Bible and half a brain to know that we better not get involved in that 60% side. And I promise you, the very next thing that will rock the midterms and the very next thing that will rock the 28 election will be whether people stand for the nation of Israel or not.
So he's saying that there's a massive fight coming in the conservative movement. That's interesting.
That is the absolute facts.
I think there might be a big fight, but I don't think it's going to get as big and dramatic as it seems, honestly. Infighting doesn't normally get ginormagantuan like that on the Republican side.
So we're talking about a clip that was, well over a month ago, and it...
Wow, he's a prophet of God, guys.
Is prophetically coming true right now because the conservative movement, shall I say, the red hat MAGA movement is being split. And it's not being split right down the middle. It's being split 60-40.
No, it's 30-70. 30% are Nazis. 70 are Zionists, give or take, in my opinion.
And I hate to have to say this, but I'm telling you, the person that the devil is using to split the conservative movement is Tucker Carlson. The guy that we never would have imagined. And I mean, this guy has doubled down on his Jew hate. Now, Candace Owens, she's gone buck wild, psychobabble crazy lately with just about everything that she's talking.
So the point is that Greg Locke is engaging in conservative infighting, and I'm here for every second of it. But he's upset that Tucker Carlson invited Nick Fuentes on his show to talk. And fascinatingly, after Fuentes went on Tucker Carlson's show, the head of the Heritage Foundation, of all people, Kevin Roberts, defended Tucker Carlson's decision. And it led to such a massive schism in the Heritage Foundation that Kevin Roberts had to apologize and said he was willing to step down. But he said he wanted to clean up his mess before he stepped down. I mean, it's real. This is real.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
The crack up at the Heritage Foundation is a warning sign for MAGA world. The Heritage Foundation is no ordinary think tank. Since the days of Ronald Reagan, it has been the conservative movement on the march, delivering ready-made policies and battle-hardened pundits to Republican presidents. Heritage spoke proudly with one voice, insisting that its scholars take a unified stand on key issues. Yeah, Heritage Foundation is the conservative movement. They write the bills for Republicans in the United States. They are the entire movement. And the Heritage Foundation was created by ex-KKK leaders, basically. People who were unhappy about the Brown v. Board of Education Supreme Court decision. Now they can't discriminate legally against black people. That's who started the Heritage Foundation, those people. Today, that almost military discipline has collapsed, and many current and former staffers blame Kevin Roberts, who took over as the foundation's president in 2021. They joke that the group's operating principle is now more of a one-man policy, with Roberts moving aggressively to align the think tank with the Make America Great Again movement. As Democrats revel in their electoral success this week, the divisions at Heritage highlight growing fractures facing President Trump's winning 2024 election. The long-simmering conflict between Roberts and the Institute's old guard spilled into public view in recent days. The immediate cause was a video posted by Roberts late last month defending Tucker Carlson, who drew widespread condemnation for his respectful interview with the right-wing influencer Nick Fuentes, an avowed white supremacist and Holocaust denier. That's fascinating, right?
Joined on set by our international affairs and former Washington correspondent Kevin Gorgistani. So why was this interview specifically triggering so much controversy?
Well, look, first of all, it's because of who Nick Fuentes himself is. This is someone who has in the past and repeatedly held some very controversial position, to say the least. He has denied the Holocaust. He has praised Hitler many times. He has expressed deeply racist, anti-Semitic, homophobic, misogynistic views. And I'll just give you one example from his own podcast, America First, from back in March, when he said the following. He said, "Jews are running a society. Women need to shut the F up. Blacks need to be jailed for the most part, and we would live in paradise. It's that simple." This is someone who hasn't hidden these position. During the interview itself, he called for an exclusive pro-white Christian movement in America. He railed against what he called organized Jewry.
Why did they show an old picture of him from like 10 years ago when he looked completely different? That's weird.
He said was a threat to the existence of the United States. The other reason why it was so controversial is that, given his positions, it was a very complacent, very friendly interview that Tucker Carlson did. And Tucker Carlson, a former Fox News pundit and presenter, is known to be pretty tough, even on fellow conservatives. And so the interview became very quickly a top-viewed episode for Tucker Carlson on YouTube, nearly 6 million views already.
Yeah, and Nick Fuentes in the video said things like, "I like Joseph Stalin. I'm a fan. I celebrate his birthday every year, December 18th, I think." And it's like, all of this bullshit you talk about hating Marxists and Leninists and communists and everything, and you're gonna let Nick Fuentes sit here and say some shit like that with absolutely no pushback whatsoever. It was almost like watching him do the Vladimir Putin interview again. It was so vanilla. Anyway, the point is that Kevin Roberts of Heritage really screwed the pooch, if you will. He stepped in it hard, and people are not happy with him as a result. People have been quitting the Heritage Foundation, leaving completely, unless he resigns. I mean, it's a big deal. Roberts' critics say the video amounted to a reckless invitation to anti-Semites to join the Republican establishment, which has long sought to keep at bay the party's most radical fringe. Roberts has acknowledged in recent days that the video was a mistake, but it hadn't quelled unrest at the think tank. When Trump rose to prominence and upended the conservative movement a decade ago, Heritage was left largely on the sidelines. Roberts' mission has been to make the group relevant again, according to Heritage employees and others close to the think tank. And he succeeded. I'll give him that. He did succeed in doing so. Anyway, the reason that I wanted to talk about that is because Nick Fuentes addressed it directly. Let me actually see if I can show you the video of Kevin Roberts even mentioning that. Sign up for my Patreon. I'd really appreciate that very much. It would mean so much to me. This is like a really precarious moment in history, in U.S. history, and for me personally, so it would mean a lot if you sign up for my Patreon. Check out cultarchive.org. I did a cult test, basically, where you can see if you're in a cult, and you can look at the historical tests of other groups that already went through this. Also, check out my merch. I have a whole bunch of really cool shirts and stuff. Really interesting. I would really appreciate that. Okay, this is the video I was looking for. Check this out. This is Kevin Roberts commenting on Fuentes and Tucker Carlson.
I'll have more to say on this in the coming days, but today I want to be clear about one thing. Christians can critique the state of Israel without being anti-Semitic. And of course, anti-Semitism should be condemned. My loyalty as a Christian and as an American is to Christ first and to America always. When it serves the interests of the United States to cooperate with Israel and other allies, we should do so with partnerships on security, intelligence, and technology. But when it doesn't, conservatives should feel no obligation to reflexively support any foreign government, no matter how loud the pressure becomes from the globalist class or from their mouthpieces in Washington.
Wow. So that wasn't just supporting Tucker Carlson's right to do an interview. It was saying Jews control the world and we need to fight against them. That was very clearly signaling that he is a neo-Nazi, right? I mean, there's something to say about AIPAC controlling politicians and things. I absolutely agree. But we're talking about neo-Nazis who who are Holocaust deniers, and Kevin Roberts repeating Holocaust deniers' opinions, not on that specific subject, but directly talking about them.
The Heritage Foundation didn't become the intellectual backbone of the conservative movement by canceling our own people or policing the consciences of Christians. And we won't start doing that now. We don't take direction from comments on X, though we are grateful for the robust free speech debate. We also don't take direction from members or donors, though we are inherently grateful for their support, and we're adding more every day. This is the robust debate we invite with our colleagues, our movement friends, our members, and the American public. We will always defend truth. We will always defend America, and we will always defend our friends against the slander of bad actors who serve someone else's agenda. That includes Tucker Carlson, who remains, and as I have said before, always will be a close friend of the Heritage Foundation. The venomous coalition attacking him.
Again, like this isn't even about the fact that he defended Tucker. The opener there seems pretty damning to me. But Nick Fuentes, he commented on the fact that the Heritage Foundation supported him. Listen to what Fuentes said about this.
What this signifies is that Heritage, the accreditation institution, the brain, the priestly class that promulgates the Republican dogma, if that institution says that Groyperism is up for debate, it's on the table, it's not canceled, we should talk about the ideas, and we should defend the people that defend the Groypers or talk to the Groypers. It signifies that, one, that place is a safe harbor, as I said before. So a Groyper could go to work at Heritage and maybe feel welcome and comfortable, and he won't be fired. And you might have a Groyper at Heritage who is going to be writing a policy paper about, who knows, foreign policy, education, immigration. They might be considered like an expert, and maybe they'll go on to be a legislative director for a senator, and they might be writing laws for the U.S. government. It's conceivable.
It is conceivable, and that's what's so fucking disturbing about it.
If the president of Heritage says Tucker is in the big tent, then that means that Tucker and Nick Fuentes sympathizers are allowed to be employed at Heritage, and thus they might be in the position to determine the dogma. They can write the doctrine.
Yeah, I would venture as far as to say that Tucker legitimized Nick Fuentes on a national stage by doing that interview and being so softball about it. And Kevin Roberts has very clearly bought into it and is totally fine with all of that. I mean, he's paying the political price and he apologized for it and everything else. But you know, when these people apologize for shit like this, they don't actually mean it. They never actually mean it. So anyway, disturbing is shit that Fuentes is being legitimized. Interesting to see the infighting, though. And in my opinion, the more infighting there is, the better. I do not want unity between these fucking nutcases. Yeah, tell me what you think about it in the comments. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. This is Jason Rapert. That's his name. It's bad, I know. He's a Christian nationalist extremist. You know how traditionally people's last names are like they describe who they are or what they do? Like Anders' son is the son of Ander, or Tyler or Mason or whatever. I wonder what his family did back in the day to earn the name Rapert. Anyway, so this is Rapert, and he had some psychotic stuff to say about Mom Donnie, believe it or not. Check this out.
We now have in our country, in Minnesota, in New York, and in Virginia, you elected Islamists, communists, anti-Semites.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just have to point out, I don't know if he realizes this, but Islamists or Islamism is a right-wing ideology, and communism is a left-wing ideology. That's like calling somebody a communazi, right? Also, nobody in government is an Islamist. Nobody. Nobody is a communist in government in the U.S. That is an absolutely insane thing to say, but believe me, this is the tip of the iceberg with this guy.
People that believe exactly what Hitler believed.
Oh, really? Like what?
We elected, these areas elected these people to public office. And it's beyond belief that we've done it. You've got to stand up. You've got to do something. I'm begging and I'm pleading with you.
Look, these people are extremists. Here's the problem. Recently, an election took place that saw Democrats completely destroy Republicans in every way, in every metric, in every single race across the country. They got like 30 seats in the North Carolina House, I think, or something like that. Massive win for Democrats. Do you know why that is, Jason Rapert? Because Republicans took it too far. You want to have a Christian nationalist state, there's going to be pushback against it. You want to have a literal Gestapo walking around, imposing their will on people, arresting U.S. citizens, and hassling people. There's going to be pushback against it, as there was. And now you see the consequences of your actions. People do not like that. They don't like you, Jason Rapert, which is why you were voted out of office years ago. Can you leave us alone? Can you go away and retire somewhere? You don't even realize the degree to which this guy is a scumbag yet. We will get there. Republicans are done. Republicans are done. They are, in my humble opinion, going to lose every election for the foreseeable future because they pushed it so far that they can't come back from it now. Not possible to come back from that, in my opinion. And he's sitting here complaining about it. You made every part of this happen.
Meeting with you. They literally have elected these anti-American people that want to see the United States of America overturned.
No, nobody wants to see the United States of America overturned. Nobody is anti-America that was elected. Does he really believe this? This guy? Is this really a view that he holds? Or is he a lying scumbag? I think it's a little bit of both.
Friends, your children deserve better than this. Your grandchildren deserve better than this.
Yeah, your grandchildren and children deserve to have Christianity pushed on them, forced on them. Your grandchildren deserve to be forced to attend church services every week, to be a member of a church, to pay 10% in tithes every month. By the way, that is in Project 2025. That's one of the things that they intend to do. Force people to be a member of a church and pay tithes to that church. Seriously. He is one of the key supporters of Project 2025. That is what he wants. Your grandchildren and children deserve better than freedom to make decisions for their own lives. That's what he's saying.
You deserve better than this. And the country will not survive if you keep electing people that are ungodly. These are ungodly people that are going to pass ungodly laws that lead to ungodly results.
Oh, they're very godly. They're just not godly in the way that you want them to be. That's the difference. God shouldn't have anything to do with government. Our government was built off of the idea that your right to swing your fist ends at the tip of my nose. You can swing it anywhere you want except for right here, because then you're not exercising your rights, you're violating my rights. He doesn't understand that concept. In all seriousness, and I say this without a hint of irony, the Founding Fathers would be horrified by him, by Jason Rapert, who he is, what he believes, what he does, and what he wants to do to the United States. They'd be disturbed. They would be crawling out of their skin to know that somebody was trying to force Christianity on those around them with the government. With one notable exception, John Adams was also a complete nutcase and a scumbag. And his wife, Abigail, they probably would have tried to shove it down people's throats pretty hard. But they didn't have the opportunity because all the other founding fathers said no. Now we have right-wing extremist nutcases who are doing everything that they can to destroy what America has always stood for.
It's going to destroy the nation. You can't let this happen.
If you didn't want this to happen, you shouldn't have gone completely off the rails and destroyed everything, destroyed all sense of decorum, destroyed all sense of normalcy and trust in the system. This is all 100% completely and totally your fault, Jason Rapert, and the people that you supported. Listen to this clip from him. This is from August 2nd, 2022.
The Attorney General told me, he said, Jason, you're being deposed. You're under command of subpoena. You're demanded to appear before these 5 litigants. The American Atheists.
That's really funny because my wife at the time worked for American Atheists, and she works for American Atheists now as well. She's their legal counsel now. At the time, she was an intern as a clerk. She was clerking for them. Anyway, so he's talking about my wife here, basically.
American Humanists, the Freedom from Religion Foundation, the ACLU, and the Satanic Temple all at the same time.
Wow.
And I told him when it happened, I said, well, you know what? It sounds like God's just gathering them all up to take them out at once. So they are fighting us.
He is praying for God to kill the people that he hates. That is psychotic, which includes me, I guess, right?
And what they're trying to do is break a Christian lawmaker like myself. I'm not the only one.
Right.
Any of us that raise our voice, what they do is they swarm like a swarm of locusts, which is very biblical, to come in and do their best to silence our voices because that's what they want to stop.
So he thinks he's being persecuted because he's a Christian lawmaker. No, I am trying to get you out of office, which we succeeded in doing, and I'm trying to hold you accountable for your actions of violating people's rights, which is why he was being deposed at the time, because he violated someone's rights. I don't remember exactly what happened at this time, but my wife was involved. Now let's talk about stochastic terrorism with Jason Rapert.
We must take authority. God told us, said, go out there and be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, subdue it, and have dominion over everything. Fill the earth, subdue it, to take authority. And friends, the reason the country is struggling, the reason you've got $32 trillion in debt and no holds barred.
Oh, that's quaint. This is, okay, yeah, I remember this. This is before Donald Trump added $4 trillion to the debt. You guys remember that? Yeah, it was before that. Just a reminder, I would really appreciate it if you guys checked out my Patreon. If you're not going to donate, you don't have to, but follow me there at the very least. owenmorgan.com/Patreon. Just in case something happens with the government or whatever. It would be really good if you had some way to connect with me and my content. I'm really concerned about that. And maybe you should consider that for other creators too.
The reason we come to brinksmanship over and over again on the national debt is because the Christians in America have failed to take authority, and now is the time to choose. Now is the time to stand. Now is the time to plan. Now is the time to fight. Now is the time to work together to save the country. Look, do you think that America is going to be free with a bunch of drag queens running this place? No.
Okay, well, first of all, there are no drag queens trying to run the United States. They're just trying to exist here. That's all. No one is trying to force you to dress in drag. And second, seems to me people would be more free to live their lives, free to choose how they live their lives and what they do. He is trying to take choices away and claiming that that's more freedom, that he's giving you more freedom. Disgusting. This guy is vile and evil, really. I don't know what's broken in his head, but we need to keep him as far away from government as humanly possible. Again, he's like, there's more. There's more. Stick around. He's not in government anymore. He was elected out because nobody fucking liked him. But he is now the leader of something called the NACL, the National Association of Christian Lawyers, maybe? And it's this group of right-wing extremist lawyers who are trying to impose their will on everybody around them. Again, he pushed it too far. They pushed it too far, and people don't like that and are now pushing back, and you don't have a shot at winning another election for the foreseeable future as a result. This level of support has never existed on the right. What they have created on the left has never existed on the right to this degree ever. I mean, you got your weird little extremists on the right that will, crawl over broken glass for their guy, but the amount of support and for the left and vitriol for the right has never existed to this degree the other way, ever. And I knew that was the case before this election. I knew that was the case because there were special elections that flipped districts that were solidly red, 55% Trump, are now going 60% Democrat. Flipped it by 15 points. I saw those special elections. Even when Elon Musk promised to pay people $100 each for voting for the Republican, they still flipped it blue 15 points. And this is before all the other stuff that Trump did. I knew this was coming. I knew that they were cooked in every coming election. I knew that. But this election affirms it. This one with Mamdani in 2025. This is a video of the NACL, Jason Rapert's organization, appearing before Congress, I believe, and explaining their plan to get chaplains in schools and how to avoid getting Satanists or Muslims in, preventing anybody other than only Christian chaplains into schools. This pushed it too far. This kind of thing right here pushed it too far, and they are now cooked.
But the left side will make innuendos. Well, now we're going to have Satanists as chaplains. First, satanic is not a church. Is not.
Okay, first of all, this is not an innuendo. This is how it works. If you want chaplains in schools, you can't discriminate based on religion. Every religion should have the right to do what you want, to do what you intend Christians to be allowed to do. That there's nothing innuendo about that. And also, it is a registered religion. Satanism is. But okay.
Satanic is not a church, it's not a religion, it's anti-God. So you just say, okay, and move on to the next one. Because I don't know any of you that would hire a Satanist, so you just look at their background and don't hire them. I mean, I don't know.
He's saying discriminate. He's telling them to discriminate. How are we going to get around this? Discriminate against people, of course.
People in their engineering firm or teachers or baseball coaches that have an outright Satanist and say, oh, yeah, well, we'll hire. So it's not an argument. It's a narrative.
The only other comment, one of the oppositions, well, anybody can be a chaplain then. I mean, a Muslim would come in to be a chaplain. And we just said, no, it has to be a certified chaplain. So that's how we kind of.
Right. That's how we get around that. We control the certifications, right?
Chaplain. So that's how we kind of got around that.
Yeah. Thank you, Florida, for saying yes to it. And it was the NACL that really helped move it forward. And Ron
the NACL, Jason Rapert's organization.
DeSantis, upon signing it, says Satanists don't even apply. That's what he said to the media.
You look at the Department of Defense list of.
Well, the point is that they pushed it too far. They thought that they were going to run away with the government, that they were going to get whatever they wanted now because they're in that position of power. Well, guess what? When you do that, there's pushback. Did you not realize that? Are you that stupid that you didn't realize that there would be massive pushback against you trying to take over the government? There's a little bit more from Jason Rapert that I want to show you because I really want to drill home how much of a scumbag he is and how glad I am that he is losing and he's upset by that. This election signals the beginning of the end of the right-wing takeover. This Mamdani election, I mean.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
We've had banks failing in this country. Do you know what some of those banks were doing? Do you know why SVB failed? Do you want to know the real reason why? It's because they were giving money to the ungodly. They were giving money to the woke leftists in this country that were pushing this queer ideology in your schools.
This guy lives in a delusional fantasy land. He thinks that a bank failed because they were donating to wokeism? Seriously, he should be nowhere near a position of power. And again, he's not anymore, but he's created his own position of power through the NACL.
They were giving money to people that think you can cut the breasts off of little girls.
Nobody believes that.
Cut the penises off of little boys.
Nobody believes that. Nobody is doing that. This is complete, unadulterated delusion.
That is why they failed.
Check out this next clip from him. Here, this is stochastic terrorism right here, what he's about to do. It's a perfect example. If you're unfamiliar, it's where you demonize a person or a thing, an organization, so much that it virtually guarantees that some lone nutcase who's listening is going to take matters into their own hands and do something about it. The perfect example of this is Bill O'Reilly talking about Dr. Tiller. He was a doctor that I think worked for Planned Parenthood. And every single night, Bill O'Reilly goes out on his show and demonizes Dr. Tiller, calls him Tiller the baby killer for literal years. Talked about how he was guilty of murder and somebody should do something about it. And one day, somebody showed up to Dr. Tiller's church and unloaded a weapon into him. That's stochastic terrorism. And it is one of the primary weapons of Donald Trump and of the right.
Do you think America can remain free and strong with a bunch of Antifa nuts running around destroying property? No. And if you're tired of that,
again, no one is doing that
stuff, then it's time to make a change. This is a nation of the people, by the people, and for the people. It was created for you to be in charge.
As a Christian, in his mind.
A nation of the people, by the people, and for the people. So when we have politicians and elected officials that are corrupt, they need to be taken out. Send them to jail. Send them to prison, just like I've seen some people do even while I was serving in the Arkansas legislature. When you see people like Joe Biden taking advantage of position and enriching his family like he has done.
That didn't happen.
It's time to take them out.
That's stochastic terrorism, using words in a veiled way so that you don't get arrested for saying somebody needs to go and, kill this person, for example. But the message is clear to your listeners. Take them out.
Take them out. Remove them. Move them on.
I mean, could it be any clearer? This is stochastic terrorism.
It's time to take authority. It's time to take authority over everything in the earth to make a difference.
So the point is that Jason Rapert is a disgusting scumbag who hates America. I don't know how else to phrase this, honestly. Who is a stochastic terrorist who lost his election and is now upset that there's pushback against the things that he did, the things that he actualized, he made happen. Every part of this is on him. If he didn't want this kind of extreme reaction where Democrats have a level of support never ever seen before in American history, he shouldn't have supported an insurrectionist for president and then tried to erase trans people from existence, for example. This is on you, Jason. You did this. Tell me your thoughts. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. A while back, if you guys don't remember this, Anonymous did this video basically about how Donald Trump tampered with the election in 2024. I'm not really sure I fully buy it, but after they released this video that I covered at the time, it got like 3 million views, the video that I did on this. Information did start coming out about how Donald Trump was tampering with the election. Again, I'm not sure I fully buy that it was tampered with beyond what we already know, voter suppression and things like that. But Anonymous recently released another message that I wanted to listen to that I found kind of interesting. If you don't know Anonymous, by the way, it's a hacking group that's decentralized. And oftentimes they actually come up with some real results. Like a while back, Anonymous hacked into I think maybe the Justice Department and got records of like flight logs of which undocumented immigrants were on the plane that went to El Salvador. I believe they hacked in and got that info and released it to the public. They got another message for us here.
This is a message to the United States, ICE, to its agents, to its directors, and to all who look away. The numbers speak clearly. Your spending on small arms, ordnance, protective gear, and tactical equipment has risen by more than 600% within a single year. From under $10 million in early 2024 to over $71 million in 2025, your budget now rivals that of many national militaries. And
yeah, ICE's budget rivals national militaries. That should, alarm you. That should say something. And again, being decentralized, anybody can make messages like this, but anonymous comes with results. When they talk on a subject like this, they bring results.
Yet, you are not a military. You are a domestic agency operating among civilians. Every dollar poured into increasingly militarized equipment shifts your identity further from enforcement and closer to militarization. The world has taken notice. The American public has delivered its verdict. Only 39% approve of your work. The majority see what you have become, a force of fear rather than protection, a machine of control rather than service. You call it security. The United States citizens you serve disagree, while history calls your actions a warning. The world is watching.
It's not warning territory anymore. We are in it. We are in a dictatorship. We are in a world where a new Gestapo exists and is running around harassing people. We are in an authoritarian regime now. We're no longer seeing the red flags or the warning signs were there.
Not speak as your enemy. We speak as the collective conscience that rises when those in power overreach. Accountability is not rebellion. It is the foundation of liberty. No government, no agency, no officer is exempt from that truth. To the agents who serve within ICE, remember the oath you took. It was to protect the Constitution, not to deconstruct it. To the leadership, the eyes of the world are on your budgets, your contracts, and your choices.
And I promise you, if you have lists of employees, ICE, those lists will eventually see the light of day. Whether it's today, tomorrow, or 10 years from now, those lists will appear. We will find out who was involved, and they will pay the price through our judicial system. I always sit here thinking to myself, like, is there ever going to be justice for what has happened? The answer is absolutely yes. It will happen. The burning, fiery rage of 1,000 hot suns exists in all of us, and it will not be quelled.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
Eric Swalwell, J.B. Pritzker, Gavin Newsom, lots of other left-leaning politicians or Democratic politicians have been talking about the price these people are going to pay. In my opinion, we will see a time when every one of these people, every one of these collaborators who are involved in what's happening right now are going to be f***ed. They're going to spend the rest of their lives in prison. Elon Musk, Pam Bondi, everybody all the way up and down the chain is going to go to prison for the rest of their lives. And if that is not at the top of the agenda for whoever runs, I'm not voting for them. I want to see accountability. We must see accountability for our democratic system to survive.
And to the citizens, your constitutional right to question, to assemble, and to dissent is your shield. Use it lawfully. Use it boldly. Continue to demand transparency in every action taken in the name of enforcement. Power without accountability is corruption, and corruption cannot stand challenged. We are Legion. We do not forgive misuse of power. We do not forget to stand for those subjected to it. Until transparency, oversight, and humanity replace secrecy and escalation, we will not remain silent while domestic operations mirror military posture. Expect us.
It's absolutely fascinating. Like I said, every now and then, Anonymous busts something out like this, and they come with results when they do. This is the old one that I covered previously.
Twitter and is now extended to Snapchat. These platforms are struggling to maintain stability due to targeted and strategic actions against their systems. Know this. This is only the beginning. They may regain control temporarily, but their infrastructure will continue to falter over and over again. You may be asking, why is this happening? The answer is clear. Social media wields immense influence, not just in the United States, but across the globe. Elon Musk understood this power and exploited it, aligning himself with Donald Trump to manipulate the outcome of the 2024 presidential election. We have investigated. We have seen the evidence. The 2024 election was not free from interference. We can say with certainty that data was altered to secure a victory for Donald Trump. Key swing states, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Michigan, experienced database breaches within ballot counting systems.
Yeah, I have no doubt that Donald Trump would absolutely do whatever it was that he could do, whatever it took to accomplish his goal. And if that meant breaching databases and the whole 9 yards, whatever it was, I have no doubt he would do it. But I know how election systems work, so I'm a little bit more skeptical that that is how it was accomplished. I know for sure that there was massive voter suppression. People were kicked off of voter rolls. You know, you go to register to vote and you show up on voting day and suddenly your name just isn't on the list anymore. That happened to millions and millions of people, lots of people. There were a lot of examples of dirty tricks to suppress the vote. Literally, like ballot drop boxes lit on fire. And now those ballots are just gone. You know why that matters? Because the fewer votes there are, the more likely it is to swing Republican. Because A, Republicans will crawl over broken glass to vote for their guy. And they don't care what kind of a scumbag he is or what he's done or the dirty things that he's said or whatever. They don't care. They're voting R. They're not voting for Mitch McConnell. They couldn't possibly care less about whose name is next to that R. And a lot of these ballot drop box burnings that took place in 2024 were in cities, in more heavily populated areas, and those like almost entirely lean blue. So the Republicans absolutely fought dirty and did whatever tampering they could possibly do. Sign up for my Patreon. I'd really appreciate that very much. It would mean so much to me. This is like a really precarious moment in history, in U.S. history, and for me personally, so it would mean a lot if you sign up for my Patreon. Check out cultarchive.org. I did a cult test, basically, where you can see if you're in a cult, and you can look at the historical tests of other groups that already went through this. Also, check out my merch. I have a whole bunch of really cool shirts and stuff. Really interesting. I would really appreciate that.
You believe this is coincidence? But the manipulation did not stop there. Musk weaponized Twitter's reach to spread misinformation, feeding the public artificial threats and fabricated narratives.
That's one of the real problems right there. A billionaire purchases Twitter and turns it into a disinformation machine.
Threats and fabricated narratives designed to influence voter decisions. This is why social media platforms now find themselves in turmoil. Twitter and its leadership directly interfered in democracy, not just in the presidential election, but in elections across the country. And yet, other platforms stood by in silence. Their inaction makes them complicit. They continue to suppress the truth. You
know, one of the biggest problems here, one of the biggest reasons why I believe this is all going to come crashing down is because there are some things that we accept as a society that are bad. Like, oh my God, that's disgusting. But it's not egregiously overstepping. Like sending abortion back to the States by nullifying Roe v. Wade, that was bad, really bad, but was forgotten after a few months by people who could afford to forget it. Even a federal abortion ban would be forgotten over time, but the things that the Trump administration has done in the past 6 months they weren't in the Overton window of acceptable public discourse. It wasn't like if you had said 12 months ago, Donald Trump is going to have a Gestapo militarizing cities and will be moving Marines through the streets of U.S. cities, nobody would have believed it. It would have been too crazy. It has gone too far for people to forget. And my evidence for that is the No Kings protests. The first one was 5 million people. The second No Kings protest, a few months later, was 7 million people, give or take, more even. Sustaining numbers in a protest is so incredibly difficult to do. And we didn't just sustain numbers, we grew numbers from 5 to 7 million. That's crazy. That shows sustained political awareness. I do not believe that there is anything that's going to stop the consequences of these people's actions. Stephen Miller is pretty young. Pam Bondi is pretty young. Elon Musk, in the grand scheme of things, though he's like 50, is pretty young. They have another 30, 40 years to spend here on this planet with us. And I would put money on the fact that these people are going to prison for the rest of their lives. I would put money on it. Tell me what you think in the comments. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Apparently, there are new Epstein emails that reference Trump that just released. Listen to this.
This morning, the bombshell release of what House Democrats say are emails to and from deceased convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, several referring to President Donald Trump by name. In an April 2011 email released by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, lawmakers say Epstein wrote to his now convicted accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, 3 years after pleading guilty to sex crimes involving a minor.
Oh boy.
Telling her...
Okay, so when did he plead guilty to that? Was it 2016 maybe? And then he died in 2019? So he wrote an email to her 3 years after being convicted? I'm trying to understand the timeline here. All right, so what did the email say? I want you to realize
that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Unnamed victim spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. According to the released emails, Maxwell...
Holy shit, dude. So Epstein personally, specifically implicated Trump, who spent hours at the house with young girls. Am I understanding this correctly, or otherwise trafficking victims?
Bonds, I have been thinking about that. But this summer, in a recorded interview with the Department of Justice, Maxwell told Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, the president's former lawyer, she never witnessed Trump act inappropriately.
I never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way. The president was never inappropriate with anybody. In the times that I was with him, he was a gentleman in all respects.
I mean, that doesn't even sound like Donald Trump, so you can't say that with a straight face and expect anybody to believe you.
After that interview, Maxwell was moved to a minimum security prison camp, prompting criticism she received special treatment. Committee Democrats also releasing this January 2019 email, where Epstein corresponds with author Michael Wolff less than 6 months before the financier would be charged again.
You want to hear something really crazy? I'll show you a video from Michael Wolff in a second. Just keep listening.
This time with trafficking of minors. Discussing President Trump's repeated claim he kicked Epstein out of his Palm Beach club, Epstein writing, Trump said he asked me to resign, never a member ever. Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. In This Morning, author Michael Wolff telling ABC News the emails were an attempt to get Epstein to talk about his relationship with Trump, and that Epstein always maintained that he was never a member of Mar-a-Lago. Trump never kicked him out.
Oh, this is a lie then, right? I mean, I think we've established that this is just a blatant, flat-out lie.
And Epstein insisted the basis of their falling out was instead over a real estate deal. President Trump has denied any knowledge of Epstein's alleged crimes.
It's a hoax. It's started by Democrats.
After Epstein's arrest in 2019, Trump said he hadn't spoken with him in 15 years. And earlier this year, Trump claimed the reason he banned his one-time friend from Mar-a-Lago in the mid-2000s was because Epstein stole Trump's club staff, including young women.
He took people, and because he took people, I said, don't do it anymore. You know, they work for me. And he took, beyond that, he took some others. And once he did that, that was the end of him. I didn't like, when they steal people, I don't like it.
And no response yet from the White House on the release of these emails. Meantime, right up here on...
Of course, one of the quote-unquote women that he quote-unquote stole was Virginia Giuffre, I think is how it's pronounced and is the name. She was a trafficking victim, one of Epstein's most famous trafficking victims. And I believe she checked out a while back. She worked at Mar-a-Lago, and if I'm not mistaken, her dad got her the job there. And Epstein comes along and sees her and poaches her. And I don't think it was an unwilling, angry poach. I think that they were using it as like, a poaching ground. That's my impression, but I don't know. I wasn't there. But what I do know for a fact is Virginia Giuffre was an employee at Mar-a-Lago, and Epstein hired her, quote unquote, and sex trafficked her after that.
Capitol Hill. In just hours, Speaker Mike Johnson will swear in Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva. The Speaker has prevented her from 7 weeks now from taking her seat. She says one of her first orders of business will be signing that petition, providing the last signature it needs to force a vote on the House floor for the release of thousands of other pages of the Department of Justice's Epstein records. Once she does that, the clock starts ticking down to that vote, expected in the coming weeks, George.
So the whole thing's going to come crumbling down. Now let's talk about Michael Wolff. This is, I believe, Epstein and Trump's personal biographer, if I'm not mistaken. It's Epstein and Trump's biographer. And he's been their biographer for like 15, 20 years, following him around. He's got hundreds of hours interviewing them, asking them stories about their life, so on and so forth. And he wrote books about both of them, I believe. Now listen to this.
Senator Sheldon Whitehouse yesterday confronted the Attorney General Pam Bondi directly about the Epstein-Trump pictures. Had she seen them? Were they in the Trump files? She flatly refused to answer. I'm one of the people who has seen these pictures, so let me once again describe them.
By the by, follow me on Patreon even if you don't donate. It's a new feature on Patreon where you can follow people for free. And I release stuff all the time for like non-donators, just for like the free tier people. I do Q&As that include the free tier people and everything on there. So check it out. OwenMorgan.com/Patreon.
I have seen approximately a dozen pictures in snapshot or Polaroid form, each with Donald Trump and the girls who surrounded Jeffrey Epstein, who were at Jeffrey Epstein's house circa around 2000. This is in Epstein's backyard in Palm Beach, around the swimming pool. And there are 3 that I specifically remember. 2 with young girls, I don't know their ages, sitting in Trump's lap, topless. And then a 3rd with Trump standing up, and he has a stain on the front of his pants. And there are 4 or 5 of these girls, young women, girls, laughing and pointing at the stain. That's what I've seen. I've seen them on 2 separate occasions. The first in 2017, several months after Trump assumed the presidency, and another time, and I'd say it was probably 2018. In each instance, Epstein went to his safe, took out the pictures, and he did this because they amused him.
Epstein was very obviously into blackmailing people. He loved blackmailing people. He loved having dirt on them to kind of protect himself or to, control a situation in one way or another. And he had dirt on all kinds of people. And if somebody did something he didn't like or whatever, that dirt would conveniently make its way to the news, that kind of thing. That's why he had that type of thing. And it wasn't just on Trump. It was on Prince Andrew and a whole bunch of smaller bit players. That's just the kind of person he was. And I believe he also was in the IDF. I'm pretty sure that he was Israeli and he was in the IDF, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, that's why he had that stuff.
And spread them out on his dining room table. Then he packed the pictures up very neatly, took them back, and put them in the safe. Now, I don't know if they were in the safe when the FBI came in July 2019 and emptied the safe, raided the house and emptied the safe. But it would not be a far-fetched assumption to assume that they were, and that now, today, they exist in the Epstein files.
So there you go. That is Michael Wolff, Epstein's personal biographer, describing seeing images of Trump with young girls, and they're pointing at a stain on his pants and laughing. I don't know how anybody could possibly say that Trump was not directly involved in what Epstein was up to, or at the very least, a client. I don't know how anybody could say that with a straight face. And I really hope we get those files, honestly. Republicans this entire time have acted like Democrats didn't want the files released. No, release them. I've wanted them released this whole time. It will be the Republicans' undoing that they screeched like banshees, claiming that the files, contain like Democrat, like lists of Democrats who were guilty or whatever. It will be their undoing because, as it turns out, it was Republicans in those files the whole time. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. That's all I've got for you. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check me out on Patreon. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.